It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs, have some fun.
Welcome to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion Shaun O'Hara. The phone number here, 201-939-4513, or find us on social media at #GiantsChat. Also a reminder that an archive of this show and our entire podcast network is available on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and giants.com/podcasts. Thanks for joining us from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's week 3. Shaun, obviously, we've got a big one on Sunday Night Football to look forward to with the Chiefs coming into MetLife, the home opener. But before we get into that one, obviously, week 2 was a shootout, was a blast of a game, and an unfortunate loss in the division.
Yeah, it was a Wild Wild West type of game. Anything goes. And, look, today's Wednesday. Some people call it hump day. So it's, before we get over that hump, we got to just kind of look back on what happened and what transpired. What an unbelievable game. It's unfortunate that the Giants did not come away with the win, but they had every right to have won that game. And, look, we could say shoulda, coulda, woulda. They could have very well won that game, probably should have. When you get the ball in overtime like that with the next score wins scenario, you got to do it. You got to get it done. And there were so many great things that came from that week 2 performance against Dallas. Russell had a phenomenal game. I thought the receivers came to play, and it wasn't just Malik. Wandale balled out. Slayton had some big plays. Offensively, that was the type of football that we were expecting in week 1, given the preseason. So the points were, look, that's exactly the kind of production that we've been talking about and that Daboll's been talking about that they needed from the offense, and they just fell short. But
and also talking about what you need from the offense, one of the things that has been harped on is starting strong. The Giants started the game with the ball. And credit to this Giants team for getting points on that opening drive despite 6 penalties for 60 yards. The amount of yards that this Giants team had to travel on that opening drive just to get into field goal range and do that, but getting points on the board in the opening drive, getting a lead early, and being able to overcome those obstacles, overcome those things. Obviously, James Hudson had his struggles, 4 penalties alone in that one.
Watch.
But you got to give credit to Marcus Bowe, the rookie, who was tapped and said, hey, get in there. And it's always a good thing when you don't hear an offensive lineman's name on the broadcast, and you never heard them mention Bowe after he subbed in.
No, I thought it was painful to watch the Hudson, the consecutive penalties. I think he had 4 penalties in 5 plays, and that just I have not seen something like that in a very long time. So that the fact that they were able to overcome that. How about the opening kickoff? Gunner takes it
67 yards. Yeah.
And you're thinking that's a great way to start. That's how you start fast.
And then a holding
it comes
penalty.
back. So yes, the fact that they were able to get a field goal despite all those penalties and overcome all of that was really good. Good to see them handle that adversity. But to your point, I thought Marcus Bowe stepped in and did a phenomenal job. He did not look like a rookie. He was swallowing up defenders. Did a great job anchoring and providing some depth and some width in the pocket for Russ to step up in. I thought he played phenomenal. Now, keep in mind, Marcus Bowe is not a left tackle. Like, he played right tackle in college. He played right tackle in training camp. He filled in when Jermaine Illuminor had a baby and had to miss the second joint practice for the Jets. Got some action against the ones right there. Thought he held up really well there. So every single time he has been asked to step in, he has delivered. It's phenomenal how good of a technician he is at such an early stage of his career. Most young guys really struggle with the footwork. His footwork is great. Look, you look at him and you don't think, oh my gosh, this guy is super athletic. He doesn't have the same kind of feet that James Hudson does, but he's just got this ability to sit pass rushers down, and nobody is knocking him back. He's not going to get bull rushed. He's done a really good job with his inside hands, and as the game went along, I thought he got even more impressive with his technique. He got better. He got more efficient with his hands. So kudos to him. Look, if they had won that game, I think he would have definitely gotten a game ball for stepping in. Think about it, you're on the road, you're in the silent count. That's not the ideal first opportunity to go in as a left tackle. So I thought he handled it.
Well, and you're going in.
Well.
You're going in as a left tackle in a circumstance in which you're not really expecting, to go in. Yes, you prepare to be ready and available in any situation. But I think, that was a tough one for a rookie.
One as he was the goal line package tight end.
Yeah,
so that was
exactly.
kind of his first, reps in the NFL in a real game. So once he went in at left tackle, I think that changed probably their package, because now it's like, okay, we have him at left tackle. We probably can't go to all that, but he got to play football. And I think the hardest thing to do is to go in for a play as situationally, 1 or 2 plays, and then come out and then go back in. Going in and out is tough. Going into the game, all right, getting that first drive in and then getting some reps underneath, now you kind of get into a zone and you kind of get into a rhythm. So I thought that was good for him. And I thought, the one thing that we harped on last week about the Giants' offensive line was they did not handle the twist very well. And I kind of mentioned, look, you put that on tape, that's a fire, you're going to have to put that out.
Right.
I thought they did a great job improving in that from week 1 to week 2. They looked like a totally different group with the way that they passed off some twists. The protection was there. Anytime your quarterback throws for 450 yards, you're doing something right. There was a couple of times where there were some leaks, but for the most part, the pass protection was solid. I thought they were much more physical and they were much more cohesive. And I think that allowed Russell to feel confident hanging in there and to make some of those big throws.
Right. And Russell also, too, kind of knew. He was alluding to in the week leading up to, hey, there's a lot of noise out there. He understood the narrative that had been painted after week 1, and he went out there very calm, very cool, very collected, ready to establish a different narrative, and he did that, too. 450 passing yards, an incredible one. Now,
I think as a player, too, that comment, there's always noise. And every player hears the noise. The key is you just can't listen to it. So you hear it, and everybody, you hear what people are saying, you hear what people are writing, you hear what people are, on social media. You hear the noise. Like it's impossible to not hear it, but you just can't listen to it.
Yeah. Now, we've got some injury updates for you. Head coach Brian Daboll is at the podium right now speaking to the medium. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, he's not going to practice today, day-to-day. Darius Muasau, the Giants linebacker, who has filled in for Micah McFadden, who went out with a foot injury. Muasau is still in protocol. Golston is dealing with an ankle. No practice today as well. Everyone else will practice in some regard today, Wednesday. But the big one, Andrew Thomas, practicing Wednesday today, and will have more reps than he had last week, seeing how he responds. But Brian Daboll is encouraged by his progress. Thomas is going to take most of the left tackle snaps today. So as great as it was to see Marcus Bowe fill in that spot, I'm sure James Hudson's still a reliable entity in that position, but getting Andrew Thomas back for this offensive line in the near future, if not for Sunday Night Football, how much is that going to affect this group?
Yeah, I think, look, they would welcome him back, with arms wide open, to quote Scott Stappen's creed. I think
you got to do it in the voice.
Andrew
Shaun.
Thomas
With arms wide open.
Well, I just heard
the news today.
So Andrew Thomas, I think he's the most valuable offensive player on this team. Malik Neighbors is the most explosive and probably the best player, but Andrew Thomas, when he is playing at the Pro Bowl level that he has played at when healthy the last couple of years, that's a huge factor. You can just put him out there and you don't have to worry about sliding to him, chipping to him, giving him help. You know that on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, like he's going to lock his guy down. So that is a luxury to have. I think, with Marcus Bowe, we were just talking about him, his improvement. If Andrew Thomas comes back now, look, with Bowe playing as well as he did, you could easily kind of rotate Andrew Thomas in, have him have a drive and then take a drive off. And then that way you're not throwing him out there in the first game and having 70 plays after not having played in a preseason game or at all. So they could kind of have him on a rotation.
But to your point that you made earlier, it is kind of challenging to go in and out and in and out. So when you're coming back from injury, is that something that maybe you would prefer? Is that the situation that makes it easier?
I think this is all but been the long play. And one of the reasons why they have not tried to accelerate Andrew Thomas is the Liz Frank injury is a very tough injury. It's kind of like an ACL injury when you're coming back from it. You don't want to rush it and you don't want to have a setback. And it definitely takes time. And even when you go back and play, you may feel good, and then there may be some swelling or maybe some soreness afterwards that you weren't anticipating. So it's not ideal to be rotating in 100%, but I think that could definitely be a play as you go into this game and say, look, instead of just throwing him out there and now he plays 65 snaps and then, you know what, he can't practice for 3 or 4 days because it blew up on him. The swelling in the foot is what happens after, a big workout or after you play a game. So that they may have to do that. But Andrew Thomas is a difference maker, and he is an elite left tackle when he's healthy. He has proven that. I think for him, he's got to make sure he's got the rust off of it, and he's using his hands. But he's also a damn good run blocker too. So I know we focus with the left tackles about the pass blocking, but
Right.
He's very physical at the point of attack as well. He's really good, in space. When you have to reach a defensive end or climb up to a linebacker on the second level, he does a good job of that. So that would be a huge boost for the Giants who are looking for their first win.
Absolutely. And, you know this Lisfranc injury quite well. You experienced it yourself later in your career. And as an offensive lineman, as a bigger guy who puts a lot of weight on your lower body and your lower extremities, like that also contributes, I think, to a little bit of the recovery of just how much goes into the lower body there.
Yeah, and I think the good thing for Andrew is that it's not his left foot, it's his right foot. So as a left tackle, your left foot is, you're not really, you're kind of up on your toes, and that's kind of your push. And as you change direction, you're kind of pushing off your left foot. Your right foot is usually more flat as you're kick sliding and as you're in pass protection. So that aspect of it, I think, is beneficial. But yeah, look, all your power is coming from your legs when you play offensive line. So there's a lot of torque and there's a lot of, force that goes into your feet. I know he's been dabbling and sampling in different kinds of cleats.
Yeah.
So the good news is, playing at home, he'll have a chance to make sure he's got the right Cadillacs on his feet to make sure he feels good. But those are good signs for the Giants.
Well, and you mentioned, too, the fact that Andrew Thomas's effect not just on the passing game, but the rushing game. That's something that the Giants have really struggled, despite the fact that in Week 2 they had 506 total yards of offense. Only 84 of them were rushing yards. 84 rushing yards is not, they had one long run. Cam Scadaboo had that 24-yard run when Jackson Dart came in for that first play. Big chunking. But other than that, it was a lot of very short yardage, struggling to move the ball in the run game situations. How do the Giants establish a run, which is going to be imperative on Sunday Night Football against, yes, a Chiefs team that, yes, is 0-2, and yes, maybe doesn't look like the Super Bowl champion Chiefs teams, but still a team that has a history of knowing how to win games?
I think whenever I'm looking at run game, as an offensive line, you always want to get a couple bites at the apple early on in the game. Okay, and let's run similar style plays so we can see how this defense is handling trying to stop this play. Because different week to week, different defenses attack the run game differently. So you've got to find out, how are the linebackers playing it? Are they scraping over the top and they're darting their defensive end, or slamming the defensive end and then they're scraping the backers over the top? Or is that defensive end the force defender and the linebacker is filling downhill? That determines your blocking angles. So I think that comes with, hey, we go into a game, here's how we think they're going to play it, and then you go back after the first drive and, all right, here's what we're seeing. Here's what we saw of this formation. But really, look, for the Giants, they've just got to commit to it. And Mike Kafka is calling plays, and I think he's done a good job layering some things. And obviously, the Cowboys secondary is banged up, so they were looking to attack that. You are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Forget about the record. There's a guy over there that is a straight assassin in Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. The best way to stop him, well, you're not going to stop him. The best way to slow him down is to keep him on the sideline. Don't give him 8 possessions. So you have to run the ball in this game just to play keep away. And you want to shorten this game. We don't want to get into another shootout like we just had with Dallas.
Yeah.
I think the run game, it's something that gets better as the season goes along. You get more comfortable. The running backs see the same things. They're finding the holes. They're reading the defense better. I was a little surprised to see Tyron Tracy not get as many carries in that past game. I mean, look, Russell Wilson's still the leading rusher through 2 weeks. That's got to change. You need to find a way to control the line of scrimmage and run the football. I think, and this is my personal belief on the run game, I want to see more runs from the home position. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? That means quarterback under center, running back right behind him, in the home position, running the ball. Now you can press the whole front side and you can stress the defense. When you're running the ball out of shotgun, you're limiting the field. You're basically saying with the running back, if I'm the quarterback and you're the running back to my right, and we're going to run the ball to the left, by me handing the ball off to you next to me, we are shrinking it. You cannot press the ball front side because of your angle. Your insertion angle right here is limiting you to this front side A gap or maybe this A gap. There is no way you can cut all the way back there after coming this way to get the handoff. So I feel like shotgun runs, unless you're pulling a guard and you're playing that gap scheme offense that we talked about last week, it's hard to get them front side when you're out of shotgun. So there is a place for it and it can work, but I'm not a fan of the shotgun runs. I want to see my running back in the home position. I want them to be able to press the hole and to be able to kind of create momentum and then crease the defense. And you get the ball rolling because now all of a sudden the running back has some momentum so he can run through the arm tackles. So that's what I would like to see a little bit more of. And you could do that out of 2 tight end formations and kind of run behind that and stress the defense a little bit more out of the home position.
But don't you think, too, out of the shotgun position, it does give a little bit more of an opportunity for the linemen to do their work and establish the gaps?
No, because when you're running those shotgun runs, you don't get to hang on the double teams as quickly because the back is right here and he's getting the ball, and now he's already, because he's at 5 yards,
right?
Now he's already hitting the hole, so the backers are hitting it. So you don't get to hang on the double team as much because, boom, I take one step and the running back's behind me. Now that backer's knifing in the hole.
Right.
If he's in the home position, he's pressing it. So now we can combo block and stay on this a little bit longer as we drive to the linebacker, and he's waiting to see, is the running back keeping the front side? Oh, no, he's cutting it back. So now you have more time to get movement on the point of attack.
Yeah.
So that is definitely more O-line friendly.
Yeah.
If you're running it out of the home position.
That makes sense. You mentioned too how Russell Wilson is the Giants' leading rusher. Not something you want to see. You don't want your quarterback leading your team in rushing yards. But the Chiefs are dealing with a similar circumstance.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes.
He's their leading rusher too.
Not only is he their leading rusher, he's got 123 rushing yards for the first 2 games. That's more than all other Chiefs combined. 96 rushing yards. And not only is he running the ball more than anyone else combined on the roster, he's also throwing a career low 58.8 completion percentage through the first 2 games. So when you see a situation and a circumstance where your quarterback is leading the team in rushing, I mean, what does that tell you when you look at that?
Well, it tells me that you're abandoning the run game, number one. And number 2, that guys aren't getting open because those rushing yards are really scramble yards.
They're run for your life yards. Yeah,
they're oh my gosh, nobody's open. I can't take a sack. I just got to go. So, look, we saw Mahomes do that last week against Philly. He actually scored on a scramble play, a touchdown run. And when you see the defense has their back to you, if they're playing man, all of a sudden, they rush 4 guys and it just opens up like the Red Sea, and you see all that green in front of you. It's easy to just take off and run. Russ has done it a couple times. Look, we have had a couple quarterback design runs. So those are true rushing yards. But Mahomes is athletic. I don't think anybody thinks of him as a running quarterback. But given the attrition that they have had at their wide receiver position, along with the suspensions, I think there's times where he draws back and he sees, man, you know what? These guys, nobody's open, or we've got the wrong route concepts against this coverage, against this defense. I just got to try to find a way to get positive yards. I don't think the Chiefs' offensive line has been playing as well as they have in the past. And they have kind of struggled with some quarterback hits. I think they have 18 quarterback hits through the first 2 games, and they've given up 4 sacks. So that right there is very atypical for the Chiefs. When last time they won the Super Bowl, their offensive line was one of the best groups in the league. So that's kind of something that we have seen be a little sloppy for them as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned, too, the amount of pressure that Patrick Mahomes has been under going up against this Giants defense that has blitzed the second most time in the league through the first 2 weeks. They've sent the blitz 33 times in the first 2 games. You got Brian Burns with 3 sacks already on the season, 2 in week 1, 1 in week 2. Kayvon Thibodeau has 1.5. Abdul Carter is a half a sack. The Giants defense is getting a lot of quarterback pressures. 21 quarterback pressures in week 2 was tied for the most in the league. And so being able to put pressure on the quarterback with what we've seen from this Giants defense of late, combined with what Patrick Mahomes has been dealing with, like you mentioned, his lack of receivers available, whether it's health or suspension, and the passing game hasn't been working, the pressure he's been under. How does that bode for a game plan, let's say, for this Giants team?
Well, I think that's exactly what you want as you're playing the Chiefs and you're playing Patrick Mahomes. You want guys that can win one-on-one and get to the quarterback. Look, the Giants' defensive line has played as advertised through the first 2 weeks of the season, and they look very much like, if not better than they did last year when they led the league in sacks through the first 7 weeks. So they're off to a great start. They should have more sacks. I mean, I think that they had a couple that they could have had on Jaden Daniels in week 1. And then even against Dak, there was a couple times where he squirted through and was able to avoid the sack. But they're doing a great job of getting pressure from the outsides, which is what you like, because now that keeps the quarterback in the pocket. I think this is the game for Robertson Harris, who we've seen. I mean, look, he had a couple of big-time quarterback hits. I think one of them was a personal foul. And I think those are things that you can clean up. But he's been a force. He's been tough to block. And obviously Dexter Lawrence, he doesn't have the sack production yet this season, but this is the type of game that I think Dexter Lawrence can really take over. I think the struggles really have been with the Chiefs left guard, and he's been one of the guys that people have been trying to attack. So I'll be curious to see how the Giants try to attack that aspect of the line.
Absolutely, and it'll be fun to watch on prime time as well. Giants fans, I want to remind you to make sure go ahead and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff past and present. Plus, you'll hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or go to giants.com/podcast. And don't forget, if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. Let us know how you think we're doing. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's head to the phone lines. We've got the phone lines lighting up. First caller of the day, Jacob from Binghamton. Jacob, what's up? Happy Wednesday. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun O'Hara and Madelyn Burke.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just a few things. I was really excited to watch the game. I haven't felt that feeling in a while watching a Giants football game. I was so up and down, just with the game being back and forth like that. It was really exciting to watch. And then just the other thing, I'm going to my first game ever this weekend to see the Chiefs, and I'm just hoping we have a good fight and a good game.
First game ever. I'm so excited for you, and what a great one to go to. Sunday night football is always a good environment, Shaun.
Yeah, look, Sunday Night Football is kind of the gold standard right now when you look at the primetime games. Collinsworth and Tirico and Melissa Starks on the sideline. As a player, when you kind of get that opportunity, like you get a little geeked up, like you just know, like everybody's watching, it's Sunday night, you're the only game on. It just definitely feels like there's a little extra juice to it. I don't think anybody anticipated both teams being 0-2. I mean, when the schedule came out, everybody was like, oh my gosh, the Giants, the toughest schedule ever. Like, they're realistically, the Giants could be 0-2 going into this game. Nobody thought the Chiefs would be 0-2 coming into this game. So, it's the crazy thing is, one of these teams
Thanks for the call, Jacob.
is walking out of MetLife 0-3, and you don't want to be that team. So this is definitely going to be a big time game, and I think both teams have quarterbacks that can unleash hell with one throw. Russ just proved that down in Dallas. We know what Mahomes is capable of, but I don't think anybody anticipated the Giants having the better receiving core going into this game as well. So when you look at offensive weapons, look, the Giants have a leg up right now with Wan'Dale Robinson. What he did in that game. Slayton had a couple of catches. I think when you look at what Scadaboo and Tracy can do as a 1-2 combo, I think you have to really like the way we match up offensively with our skill people against what the Chiefs have right now. I think Kelsey has kind of been his go-to guy and a security blanket, and I know he's probably getting hammered this whole week about the drop that turned into an interception. I've watched that play a number of times. I still can't figure out if that ball got tipped at the line, because there was a defender with his hand up, and the ball, I don't know if it got tipped or nicked or whatever, but it definitely looked like an odd play. That's one of those plays that you think is a routine play. It's a throw, it's a catch by Kelsey, touchdown going in or whatever, but that was kind of a rare circumstance. And look, if he catches that ball and scores, they're up 17-13.
It's a very different game.
Everything's different for them. So that's the one guy that you really have to account for the Giants. Look, tight ends have kind of been an enigma for the Giants.
For years.
It's kind of been one of those weird things, like, everybody has a career day against the Giants if you're a tight end. And Jake Ferguson, he had a bunch of catches. He had a I wouldn't say a monster game, but he had a good game. He had I don't think he had 100 yards, but he definitely had some production. And then when you look at week 1 as well, Zach Ertz had a couple of big catches down the middle of the field. So that's going to be something that they're going to look to exploit.
Yeah, and you mentioned, too, nobody thought the Chiefs would be 0-2. Well, this is the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era that the Chiefs have started 0-2. They haven't been 0-2 to start a season since 2014. And that's, that was the last time the Chiefs missed the playoffs. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl last season, runner-up in the Super Bowl, and as you mentioned, a couple plays away from, but that's how this league goes, right? You're so many games are on a knife's edge of just one or two plays go a different direction, and the win and the loss count goes a different way.
The stat that really jumped out at me with all that when we were just kind of reading over some of the stuff was the fact that Andy Reid has not started out 0-3 since 1999. I mean, that's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Think about
the
that.
1900s.
That is so impressive.
That's before the iPhone.
Yeah. There was no smartphone. That was all flip phone.
That was when you downloaded an AOL through a CD-ROM.
Yeah, there was a dial-up.
Yeah.
Modems were still in play.
Yeah. People were using fax machines.
That just goes to show, Andy Reid. So back when Andy was in Philly and back when I was playing for the Giants, playing the Eagles, when Andy Reid was there, it was almost like a guarantee they were scoring a touchdown in the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
He is one of the best coaches, I think, in NFL history. Had opening drive touchdowns, scoring points on the first drive. There were times where I would look up halfway through the first quarter and we're down 14-0. And I'm like, how the hell did that happen? And boom, they went down on the first drive, scored a touchdown. Next drive, boom, scored another touchdown. And if you flop around in the first quarter, you will be down 2 scores. That is how good he is as a play caller and figuring out how to attack your defenses. And then, of course, Steve Spagnuolo on the defensive side, he's one of the best in the business. We know him very well. He's responsible for a couple of the banners that are up in MetLife and the Lombardi trophies as well. So those 2 guys do a great job, and that's what you have to do at home. Giants fans are begging for another start like they had in Dallas. First drive, go down and get some points. Even if it's a field goal, you've got to start fast against Andy Reid and this Chiefs offense.
Okay, speaking of starting fast, this has long been something that I have wondered, and I want to pick your brain on this because I know that with a trend lately, you win the coin toss, you defer to start the second half because in theory you want to have, a 2-for-1, right? You want to score to end the first half and then score to start the second half or whatnot. But that is assuming that you are in a good offensive position in that first half to do that. When you see a team start with the ball like the Giants did in week 1, and not only put points on the board, yes, it was 3, you'd wanted 7, but also eat up a huge chunk of clock in getting down the field and to start a game, that really establishes dominance in a way that perhaps a 2-for-1 in the middle of the game doesn't quite affect the game flow. So why do so many teams just say, you know what, no, we want to go for that mid-game 2-for-1 rather than let's establish offensive dominance and put some point and get a lead early?
Yeah, you're playing the odds. You know, and that's the whole reason to do it is so, look, if we can get a field goal at the end of the first half, boom, and we get the ball to start the second half, that could be a 10-point swing.
Right.
And we could have scored twice, and they never even had a chance to touch the ball. So that overlies any other reasoning for, hey, you know what, we want to start, we want the ball first. I also think, look, when it's Sunday Night Football, people are geeked up, like I was saying. So you know what, let them start with the ball. Let them have a misfire. Let them overthrow a receiver on second down. Let them have a drop early on.
But defensive players are geeked up too. Let them miss a tackle. Let them.
Yeah, but it's easier to be geeked up on defense because they're already running wild.
Yeah,
they're
true.
just get after it. It's kind of like, it's like that first drive. You go up to the tee box and you know what, you got to nail your first swing.
Yeah.
You have not warmed up on the range. No, but you got to nail this fairway because you got bunkers on the right and water on the left. You know what? Most people would say, all right, I'm going to downshift and just hit my 3-wood here because I don't trust the driver. But that's, I think that's a little bit of that whole starting the game thing. But it's 100% just the fact that, you know what, if it could be a tie game, we kick a field goal at the end of the half, and we go down and score a touchdown to start the third quarter. Now all of a sudden we're up 10 points, and they don't even know what happened. Like they didn't even get to touch the ball.
But I think too that's assuming that you're in a flow and in a rhythm, which again you want to be. You want to believe in that.
You're thinking positive.
Yeah, you're thinking positive. Good vibes. It's all we like. Giants fans, run or walk with Giants legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 26th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation, and all participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. You can run that 5K and see if you're faster than Shaun O'Hara, who's going to be out there too.
I guarantee you're faster. I'll be there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my Forrest Gump hat on, and
I just started running.
I figured I've run this far. I might as well just keep on going. Yeah, it's going to be a fun day. I've run it before. It's a great day. There's kids out there. There are some serious runners. There are some people that are like jockeying for position right out of the gate. And they're they want to qualify for something or post a PR. But there's also, families that are doing it, and it can be a run walk. My goal is always to just don't ever stop running. Like, you don't want to walk. I don't want to walk. So I'm gonna start it, run it. I'm looking to shave a little time off of last year. Last year it rained.
Ooh.
So, hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate this year, and we'll get a nice dry day.
Dry, nice running weather. We're manifesting that for us all. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's head back to the phone lines. Rudder and Glen Cove. Rudder and Glen Cove. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn. How's it going?
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Got you, yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. I've been a Giants fan for a long time now. I want to say over 13 years. And, yesterday I really saw something that kind of stood out to me. And obviously we're all talking about how well Malik Neighbors, Russell Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Darius Slayton did. And then we also started talking about how well Marcus Bow did. And I was wondering, what are your thoughts on if Andrew Thomas does come back in this week? Would he would obviously play left tackle, but would Marcus Bow make the shift to right tackle, because we know that's the position he played in college? So would he make that shift?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Marcus Bow has been dressing to be the swing tackle, and he's basically, hey, you're the first guy in. If one of our tackles goes down, you're in a right tackle or you're in a left tackle. Obviously Hudson, having the issues, where he lost his mind and just had back-to-back penalties. And one of them, I will say this in his defense, the play where James Hudson kind of like swatted the guy in the helmet.
Yeah.
That was by mistake. That was not the defender slipped when that happened. So that was a draw play. And I don't know if anybody's broken this down or whatever, but on draw plays, tackles will try to, and screens as well, you'll try to like swipe the guy upfield so that he can't retrace and make the tackle. And he was trying to club him up and hit him in the back. The defender slipped right as he did that, so he dipped down. So he was trying to club him in the back. The guy slips, and so he hits him in the head. So that was unintentional, but regardless, it was a big penalty. But that Bo going in there was because of that. So I don't think I don't think you're going to put him in for Jermaine Illumina on the right side if Andrew Thomas comes in. But I think what it did was it gave him some great reps, gave him some confidence, and it gave the Giants confidence that, hey, this guy can play. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If we're in a pinch again, somebody gets dinged, somebody gets hurt, we know we could throw Bo in there and he's going to hold up. He's going to do a really good job. So I think that was really good for Bo. Look, they've been pleased with him ever since they drafted him in the 5th round. They couldn't believe he was still there. There are a lot of guys that had a 3rd-round grade on him.
Yeah, a lot of mock drafts had him higher too.
Yeah, and a lot of people that I talked to, they were like, look, this he's the real deal. Like he's stout, he's strong, he's got all the qualities you like. Like you mentioned it, like you put him out there and it's like you just don't like, all right, we don't have to worry about it. Like you don't hear his name. That is the ultimate sign of a good lineman if they never call your name except for the starting lineups. So I think Bo, that's a luxury right now. Andrew Thomas comes back and plays left. Now you've got Bo that can fill in at either left or right tackle, but I don't see him breaking the starting lineup, regardless, unless there's a health issue or an injury or another blow up like we had with Hudson.
All right. Thank you. Just one more quick question. I know we're preparing for the Chiefs Sunday night. And I know we obviously talked about how they're lacking a lot of offensive weapons. Do you think that this would be kind of a good indication for Shane Bowen to really dial up the pressure and try to get to Patrick Mahomes? Because, we know that his main weapon in Kelsey is still going to be there, and obviously we were talking about how tight ends really can tear up our defense. But I feel like this is a really good opportunity to kind of channel what Wink Martindale used to be doing and really get to the quarterback and get those sacks that we've been saying that we really need.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, and I think that's, obviously one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of things. Look, if you blitz Patrick Mahomes, you better get home.
Yeah.
Because when you blitz, now you're really stressing your coverage. Now you're pretty much in man coverage. So Patrick Mahomes loves man coverage. And any big-time quarterback loves man coverage because now they know, look, I could put the ball, out in front, let my guy run under it, or I could back shoulder him. So man coverage, every quarterback looks to attack in that scenario. But you also don't want to sit back, rush four. We did that against Jaden Daniels, and we did that against Dak. And you give that quarterback too much time, he will find an opening, and he will pick you apart. So it's always kind of one of those, the choose your own adventures. Do I want to blitz Patrick Mahomes and possibly give up the big play, or do I want to play zone coverage and just die from 1,000 cuts? I think the best way is if you can get pressure from the front four. You go back to the Super Bowl last year. Philly did not blitz one time in that Super Bowl, but yet they were harassing him and they got pressure from the front four. So that's the ideal situation because now you have 7 guys in coverage. Mm-hmm. The field just kind of shrinks and it looks a little bit congested when you can do that. The challenge with that is, if you're not getting pressure and he can sit back there, he's going to find a way to get some completions and get some chunk yards. So I think you bring a blitzer. I think you have to try to challenge that because that's how you want to speed up his throwing process. And that's when good things happen defensively. When you put pressure on the quarterback and the ball comes out quicker than they're expecting, we saw that in that Kelsey throw. That ball kind of got on him a little bit quicker than he was anticipating. That's when turnovers happen. So you definitely want to pressure him. You want to put pressure on him, but you want to do it and you want to kind of try to limit the big plays as well.
Thanks for the call, Rudder. Yeah, that was good stuff. And I think to Rudder's point too, a lot of conversation in the YouTube comments that we're seeing about Marcus Bowe, bringing it back to his first question. Brownie saying, I want to know what we do with Bowe when AT returns. I want my 5 best on the field. UBS Calzone says, how about moving Illuminor to guard and playing Bowe to right tackle? Illuminor has played guard in the past, while Bowe never has. Vito also saying Bowe to guard, Jermaine staying at right tackle.
Man,
there
is no chill.
No chill. Everyone loves some Marcus Bowe.
I love it. I love what he did, and you know what? He did everything that they asked him to do, and he was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And I think you look at that and you say, man, okay, we got ourselves a player.
Right.
Now, are you looking for ways to get him on the field? Absolutely, but you're not going to do that and shuffle 2 other guys around,
right? Just
for the sake of doing it. So, I think he did a good job. I think, if I'm Marcus Bowe, I'm saying, look, I'll play guard too. Whatever gets me on the field, I'm sure he's chomping at the bit. Once you get game action and you realize, look, I can hang, I belong, now you just can't wait to get another opportunity. So I think that's a really nice luxury that the Giants have right now. Mm-hmm. The fact that he filled in, he played well, and now you've got a guy that can, like I said, fill in a pinch down the road.
Absolutely. Giants fans with another impactful draft, including Marcus Bowe, and free agency class in the books. That means it's a full steam ahead to 2025. Take your fandom to the next level with a Giants season ticket membership and catch all the action at MetLife Stadium with an exciting home schedule on the horizon. With the membership, you'll also stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days, with exclusive member access and benefits. To learn more about a New York Giants season ticket membership, visit giants.com/tickets. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Heading back to the phone lines, we've got Cliff in New York. Cliff, thanks for holding. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn.
Hey, guys. Great show. Really appreciate all the great stuff. I want to go back to something that I think blew me away more than anything else with feeling really good about what's going on, which is when you started off talking about the resilience in the face of adversity on the first drive when when our friend Mr. Hudson was having trouble, and they still scored. You know, nobody had to say, "Oh, we didn't get a touchdown, we got a field goal." It was extraordinary to score on that drive. What really got to me, though, was in the fourth quarter, and I was sitting there thinking, when did I ever see this before? And I couldn't remember, and that was, we scored, I forget how much time was left in the fourth quarter, but we scored a touchdown to go ahead in the fourth quarter, and I'm sitting there thinking, when did we do that last?
Well, are you talking about that last one with 52 seconds left?
To Neighbors?
No, the first, I'm not sure which one, because the thing that really got to me was they did it again.
Yeah.
They did it again. And I said, what? What? Is anybody noticing this? Because there's supposed to be a culture project going on, you know?
Yeah.
And it actually started under Gettleman. And when Brian and Joe came around, and they really ramped it up. And I mean, was that as impressive as I thought? I mean, 2 times in a row. I mean, it didn't go so well after that. But 2 times in a row, a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Well,
I don't care how you got it.
Yeah, technically, Cliff, it was 3 times in a row. When you think about the fact that 41 total points were scored between both teams, you had Cam Scadaboo scoring a 1-yard run with 12 minutes left in the game. Then you've got Wan'Dale Robinson, a 32-yard touchdown reception with 2:44 left. And then, of course, Malik Neighbors with 27 seconds left, or 25 seconds left in the game, gets a 48-yard passing touchdown from Russ.
Yeah, I mean, those were, and the fact that it was 3 different players that scored too, I think is great. You know, Cam Scadaboo punching in from the one, like, you know, we needed that week 1, you know, and that was huge that they did it on the ground. And then for Wan'Dale to have that explosive play, you know, that was awesome. Great job. And that was 4th down too. You know, I mean, it's 4th and 4, and they were going for it. And I always get nervous on 4th and 4 when you decide to take that deep ball, because everybody was sitting on the sticks. You know, the whole defense thought, all right, they're going to run a 5-yard route, and that's why he was able to run by everybody. So he saw the same thing. Russ saw it. You know, if you don't have a veteran quarterback back there, he might not make that throw. He might not see that coverage. So that was phenomenal. And then, yeah, of course, the Neighbors there at the end. That was sick. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think everybody was like, wow, this is new territory for us. We haven't felt like that. The fact that we were going toe to toe, blow for blow with Dallas. And even when we scored that touchdown with 33 seconds to go in the game, and they get the ball back with 28 seconds, you know, you felt like, all right, hey, this is it. Like, all we have to do is make a couple tackles, and that's ball game. You know, and then
Brandon Aubrey's got a
thunderfoot over there.
Yeah.
Got, you know, bangs a 64-yarder that would have been good from 70. You know, that's tough. You know, it's tough to see. And I think, you know, in hindsight, you look back on that, and, you know, they were talking about it. I think Greg Olson mentioned it. He was like, look, I don't know why they're letting them throw in the middle of the field. Like, they're not trying to attack the sideline right now. They have 3 timeouts. And when you have 3 timeouts, you can throw in the middle of the field, and you, boom, all of a sudden you just get 10 yards, They didn't have a lot. They didn't really have to go very far to get Aubrey in distance. So, you know, I think looking back on that, there should have been, you know, a different kind of coverage and a little more coverage in the middle of the field. You know, I think Bobby Okereke, you know, I think he probably wishes he drifted over a little bit, because that tight end, you know, he just ran right down the seam. And we make one deflection there, one stop there, and that's ball game. You win the game on the road, and we have a totally different vibe going this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes me give Mr. Prescott a little credit also. I mean, you know, I don't know if he's ever really gotten the credit he deserves. He got the money he deserves. But looking to Mahomes, the Chiefs can afford another loss. You know, I remember it was another era, but the Steelers, when they won those 4 Super Bowls, one of those seasons started 0-4. So you know,
there is zero sympathy here for the Chiefs. Like we you know, we will be fine if they feel charitable, but yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be worried about them, you know, after we win on Sunday night. Nobody's saying no, nobody's worried about the Chiefs.
Yeah, they've had their success.
They'll find a way to make the playoffs.
Figure it out. Yeah,
they'll figure it out. They'll be fine. It's not going to be a get right game for them. Thank you very much. And,
amen.
Yeah. So. Let's go Big Blue, man. It's extremely exciting. I love it.
Very exciting indeed. Thanks so much for the call, Cliff. I like to Cliff's point, too, not just the fact that the Giants were able to score in the fourth quarter, But one of the things that was the most, that stood out the most to me was with 52 seconds left in the game. You know, you just see Pickens has his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy. Dallas goes up. There's less than a minute left in the game. And yes, Russell Wilson, you know, the stat comes up on the broadcast. He's had 44 game-winning drives, all that kind of stuff. But you see why by the way that he walked onto the field, Shaun, because he walked onto the field with such calm, steady presence. There was no, you know, urgency, or there wasn't any like, okay, let's get this done. It was like steady hand, like almost of a surgeon. And that, to me, the calmness and the certainty of, all right, let's just go get this done in that moment was why he has been a quarterback that, you know, as when his time comes, will be in the Hall of Fame, because he's able to kind of maintain that.
Yeah, and I think that's when you know you have the right guy.
Yeah.
Like, you have a quarterback that he relishes those moments. And you know what? I got the world looking at me. We got a chance to go down and play hero ball and win this game. I think every quarterback worth a darn wants to be in that position. I want the ball in my hands. I want to be able to make a throw, make a play. And to his credit, like the second play, he actually ran. So he used his legs and got a first down, did a good job seeing that the middle of the field was wide open. Hey, I'm going to get positive yards, and I think it was a 15-yard run. So, I you know, he wasn't, you know, trying to force things in that moment. And I think it just goes to show, you know, the type of player he is, that even with the game on the line, like, he was cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
And he still has it. Like, he could still make that amazing throw. You know, I mean, he had a couple of throws. It just like his ability to drop the ball in the basket, like while the receivers are running, it's a gift. It really is. It's a talent. And he's shown it time and time again. We hadn't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
But it was good to see that element of his game still there, still present. We've seen it in practice. Yeah. But it's different when you can do it in a game and with the game on the line. So yeah, I think, you know, when you saw the offense start to click and start to score points, I felt like it energized the defense. Because now they all of a sudden were like, hey, man, we're offense is clicking. They're doing their part. Let's go. Let's get after the quarterback. And that's when football is fun to watch. So, you know, look, it was a fun game. It's a shame how it ended, and it sucks that it was Dallas. I hate losing to Dallas. But
especially that close.
But I think, you know, this is a different kind of 0-2. The Giants have been 0-2 before, far too many times in the last 10 years. This has a little bit of a different feel to it, because we very well could and should be 1-1. We could be 2-0. But
well, in talking though about that last touchdown though, I was talking to Malik Neighbors recently, and I said, you know, what does it feel like catching one of those deep balls from Russell Wilson? You know, I mean, I hear guys, I've asked a lot of the receivers and the pass catchers about this, and about how, you know, it just comes in so perfectly. He goes, it's just so perfectly placed. He goes, it's almost frustrating because he places it so well. I can't make any of my acrobatic, you know, wild catches. And, you know, obviously tongue-in-cheek comment right there. And, you know, we laughed. But watching Sunday, he still did. You know, that first touchdown, he high-pointed that one. And that second one, he had his eyes covered by the defender. Yeah. But because he trusts, he knows exactly it's going to be placed so perfectly. He's like, I don't need to see it. I know exactly where it's going to be. That is an incredible element, too, to add to that passing game, when you know you can trust the ball is going to be placed so perfectly that if some defender's got his hands over your eyes, you're still good. Yeah,
there's definitely some opportunity right here to throw some shade. Eli, you know, one of the things I used to tease him about is like, look, if you threw the ball better, Odell wouldn't have to make all these acrobatic catches. Like, stop making him have these one-handers where he's got to climb the ladder and, you know, got guys draped all over him. But that catch by Neighbors was kind of similar to, I mean, it wasn't the one-hander that Odell had, but Odell was getting held on that play. Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned it, like, nobody even talked about the fact that the guy was eye gouging him, you know, as that was going through. One of the things that is interesting, if you watch Russell Wilson throw, if you're in the stadium early, if you get to see the quarterbacks go out and throw, just watch how his ball turns over. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to describe what that means. When quarterbacks throw a pass, and a lot of times you'll see the ball kind of go up and then it just comes down flat. Russ, when he throws a deep ball, his ball goes up and then comes down. That's called turning the ball over. So it's almost like a punt when it goes up, and then when it comes down point first, that makes it easier to catch.
Softer.
If it's coming down kind of like you're catching an oblong option or object, that makes it a little bit tougher. And when he can drop it in like that and the ball turns over, I think that's one of the reasons why he's so good at that deep ball. Not everybody can do it the way he does it. But yeah, it's a gift, and I'm sure the receivers are happy. They're happy to have that.
Absolutely. So Lofty gets on it. Giants fans, the Giants official connected TV streaming app Giants TV brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. 201-939-4513 is the phone number as we head back to the phone lines. Line 1, Scott in New Mexico. Scott, thanks so much for holding. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn.
Hi, guys. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I haven't called in a while dealing with some medical issues, but to me, the sky's not falling, even though the Giants have lost the 2 games. And I'm really not interested in how many points they score. It's all about W's for me. If they win on Sunday 2-0, I'll be very, very happy. So that's what makes the difference. But I had a question for Shaun, and I wanted to ask you, according to Pro Football Focus's metrics, John Michael Schmidt ranks 43rd out of 44 centers. And his pass blocking grade, according to them, is 42.1, and his pass blocking grade is 57% approximately. I'm not interested in assessing blame to him or where he is in the process, but because you played the position, what can he do to improve? Because strangely enough, he's the one guy that controls the offense, other than the quarterback, because he's the one who handles the ball first before anyone else does. And since you played the position and were excellent in that year, the Giants won the Super Bowl, what can he do to improve what he's doing right now? Because obviously these statistics are not good. And the offensive line is of concern because obviously if you don't have a good one, you're not going anywhere. And I think they have some personnel that can help, but he's kind of a central cog in the wheel. So I just wanted to ask you what you think he can do better that would make him a better center, because I think the Giants need that, especially if they're going to be facing teams that have big guys, that are going up the middle. So I want to get your assessment of him and where he is in the process. And
appreciate the question, and we hope that we hope you're feeling better. I think when you look at JMS, like the one grade that I care about is what did Carmen Brasillo grade him out as. Like I don't give a damn about PFF. They don't know the plays. They don't know. So you have to kind of like I know the guys at PFF. I use some of their stuff. I like some of the alignment stuff, some of the play snap stuff. I like watching some of the data that they have calculated. But when it comes to grades, those things are always subjective. Now, that being said, if I'm JMS, I'm mad as hell that I'm the 43rd center ranked on that. So whatever, there's reason for whatever they're grading him on. But I think the one thing JMS that he needs to do, he's got to stay off the ground. Like he's on the ground way too much. And this being his 4th year in the league, that shouldn't be happening. So I think that's something that he needs to work on. And he has gotten better with his hands. I also think that some of those things are from week 1 where they did not play well up front. So you can't look at somebody's grades 2 weeks through the season and say, oh my gosh, this guy is rated really high, this guy's graded really low. Look, it's a small sample size. And you know what? If there's one game where somebody's not doing well, like I'm sure Patrick Mahomes is probably, he's probably in the lower third of the top 32 quarterbacks in the league right now based on their grades. I don't think anybody's saying that Patrick Mahomes sucks. So you kind of got to look at that through a different kind of lens. But, look, JMS, there's still room for improvement. He needs to get better. The one thing that I've always said about JMS is when they drafted him, like he's a stout, thick, powerful dude. Like run the ball. That's his forte. His forte is I'm going to knock people back and let's run the football. He's not an athletic, let's get him out and lead the parade, let's get him out on poles. He's not like Jason Kelsey was down in Philly where he's super athletic getting up to the second level and we're going to have him out in screens, out in space, really quick like a cat, in pass pro and good change direction. Like that's not his forte. So don't ask somebody to do something that is not their strength is kind of my point. So we were talking about the run game, the lack of there. the run game. So, you know, you want JMS downhill. You want him knocking people back, running the football, pounding the rock, controlling line of scrimmage. But I do think there's room for improvement, and I think he will get better as the season goes along, because this is the best I've seen him all throughout training camp. I was watching him one-on-ones in practice. This is the best he's using his hands. He can still get better, and I think his footwork can get better and will get better. But the one thing that he needs to do is he's got to stay off the ground. He's on the ground way too much. You know, as I watch film and I just kind of see things, that's the one knock that I would have on him right now. You can't block anybody if you're on the ground.
Appreciate the comments.
Yeah, thanks so much for the call, Scott, and get well soon. Hope your health is improving. Yeah, it is tough because, like you said, you see people grading players on what they perceive based on, you don't know what somebody is being asked to do or told to do or what their assignment is, and you're assuming that, and that kind of
that actually showed up in the game. And there was a play where the defensive lineman kind of knifed through, and I'm trying to think of his name. It was 95. It was Clark, the guy they got in the Micah Parsons trade. He split Greg Van Roten and JMS, and that was, everybody was like, well, you know, look, it was the guard's fault. Oh no, it was the center's fault. Well, it was both their faults. Like, JMS was sliding. He basically had 2 D tackles, so he backed up. He looked left. And then he looked right, and then he looked left. And as this defender, Kenny Clark, was coming in, or Frank Clark, Kenny Clark was coming in this gap, Greg Van Roten thought, oh, okay, the center's got him, and he never even touched him. So in that play, Greg Van Roten should punch him, and then if you want to pass him to the center, that's fine, but you have to hand him to the center. You can't just let him go.
Right.
And JMS was backing up, checking left, make sure my left guard is not getting a dart, and then by the time he looked back to the right, Clark was already in his lap, and now he's like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting him to be a free runner.
Right.
So that's where the offensive line chemistry, and we talk about, you've got to have, this trust that we're going to be on the same page. They ran that same play 5 other times in the game, and Greg Van Roten punched him and handed him off to JMS, and there was no issue whatsoever. So in that specific play, I don't know what somebody else is grading. Are they saying that was the center's fault? Are they saying that was the guard's fault? Are they knocking them both? You don't know unless you're in the room and you know like what they're being coached to do. Here's how we're going to handle that specific front.
Absolutely. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. We've got time for one more call. Paul in Queens is on the line. Paul, thanks for holding.
Paul or Paulie? If you're in Queens, it's got to be Paulie.
Paulie.
Right? No, my grandmother hates that.
Oh, okay. Paul it is.
Yeah, I'm named after my father, so it's Paul.
All right,
it's
Paul.
really PJ. That's what everybody calls
me. There we go,
Paul
PJ.
James, but,
all right.
PJ, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Completely different offenses week 1 and week 2. I expect it to, go back to like a median, you know what I mean? Like a functional offense, maybe not 37 points and 400-plus yards from Russell Wilson, but Shane Bowen, in my opinion, I know this is going to sound like an overreaction to you guys, but I thought he should have been left in Washington. I hate the play 10 yards off of the wide receiver defense that we've been seeing since he's been here. But all in all, overall, I just wanted to mention that. But all in all, I really do think we have a chance to beat the Chiefs just because their offense isn't that great. Our offense looks like it's going up. And we have to be aggressive on defense as opposed to let's play not to lose. You know what I mean? I think we have the offense to score points. Let's score points, and let's play aggressive on defense with the defensive line that we've been talking about all off season.
Yeah, I'm with you, PJ. Look, I don't think anybody in this building is playing to lose. So, look, this is a great opportunity. The Chiefs have been the gold standard in the NFL for the last, 5 to 7 years. So you get a chance to go up against the best on Sunday Night Football. You're going to get everybody's A game. With regard to Shane Bowen and the Giants defense, look, when they hired Shane Bowen, they brought him here. The number one reason that they brought him here was they need to stop the run. So I understand it's a passing league right now, and everybody wants to knock, the passing yards that they've given up and all that stuff. But number one, we're not stopping the run well enough. So granted, you've got some mobile quarterbacks that have added to some of that, but they've got to do a better job stopping the run. And they've got the guys to do it. They've got the talent to do it. Now they just have to go out and execute. So You mentioned right out of the gate, look like a totally different offense. Week 1 to week 2. It's funny. It's the same offense, just better execution. So I still call it sloppy September. The first 2 weeks of the season, like, you're not as bad as you think you are, and you're not as good as people say you are. So you always kind of have to just look. These you want to improve, which we saw from week 1 to week 2. We saw a lot of improvement on both sides of the ball. That same kind of trajectory is what you need to see from week 2 to week 3 on both sides of the ball. Look, this defense right now, the kryptonite right now is 2nd and long. How many times have the Giants been out there at 2nd and 13, 2nd and 17, and all of a sudden, you know what, they miss a couple tackles, it's a run, Javonte Williams runs for a first down, or George Pickens gets a first down. Jaden Daniels did it in week 1. For some reason, 2nd and long has kind of been the kryptonite, and that's one of those things that just makes you want to pull your hair out as a fan and as a coach, because you could have the right defensive call, somebody misses a tackle, and now they're out the gate. So those are frustrating things, but they're also growing pains that come with the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could just say one more thing, that's another thing that's been a theme for that Giants defense for years is missed tackles. I mean, it's gotta. I mean, they gotta clean that up. I don't know how we can be missing so many tackles on a weekly basis.
Yeah, you can't do it. I think the league. I don't have statistics to back this up, but I would guarantee that through weeks 1 and 2 of the season, those are the most missed tackles in a 2-week period in the entire season. And it's just because all of these guys did not play a whole lot in the preseason. So this is the first time that they're playing a full game, and you're seeing the live tackling that you are. So
and you're not live tackling in practice. So you got to retrain that muscle memory.
Yeah. So it's sloppy September, but we got to clean it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping improvements from Bobby O. That's the main one.
Well, what's funny?
A game changer.
It's funny that you call out BO because
BO is a terrible nickname. We can't call him that.
Bobby O.
Oh yeah,
BO means
Bobby.
different things for different people. But Bobby Okereke leads the NFL in tackles right now. So you can throw the shade whatever you want. There's been a couple plays where I think he would like to have done better, but. That guy's leading the league in tackles right now. So, let's hold that out for another week.
Thanks so much for the call, PJ. That is the interesting thing, too, though. It doesn't matter how well you're doing. Like you mentioned, Bobby Okereke leading the league in tackles, but people will remember the 1 or 2 moments that they wanted more out of him. It's like when you're reading the comment section and people say, oh, great job, and then somebody says something bad. Yeah. It's like, why does that one stick with me and all the other great ones don't?
Yeah, there's always a PhD out there.
There's always a PhD. But like when you're watching, Bobby play, he has been an imperative and impactful part of this defense. Yes, there's a couple plays that I think a lot of these guys would want back, but that is not enough to say, oh, he's...
Yeah. Now
he's
think
far from BO.
The one thing I will say, and this is how stats can always be looked at.
Yeah, you can use the numbers to make any story.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You could also say that he's leading the NFL in tackles because they can't get off the damn field. So if they got off the field on 3rd down, then he wouldn't have had those extra 8 plays where he made 6 more tackles. So, I think at the end of the year, it is a badge of honor if you lead the league in tackles, but you don't want it to be, I lead the league in tackles because we can't get off the field on 3rd down or 2nd and long.
Oh, all right. Oh, sorry. I was just reading. We had some there we go. We had a couple things. JW says that they want to see you get out of retirement, get some more snaps. We talked about this a little bit last week, too.
Why would I want to ruin that? Like, why would I want to come back and then they're like, oh, Hero sucks.
Yeah, right?
Get it. What is he doing? Get out.
You gotta quote while you're ahead. Greg Denham, I love when Madelyn and Shaun are on BBK. Let's go. Thanks so much for the love, Greg. And then, the Giants need more guys like Shaun so badly. So you know what? Listen, we're getting a lot of love for Shaun O'Hara in the comment section on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, listening, tuning in, and letting us know what you think on this one. As we wrap up our show, though, before we do, I got to remind you all, join us at the Ultimate Giants Women's Tailgate presented by Joe Malone. The ticketed event will take place Sunday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to noon in Lot G ahead of the Giants' Week 4 home game against the Chargers. Attendees will have the opportunity to connect with Giants team reporter and tailgate host, me. Sorry, I'm reading this. And Giants legends. And plus, you can enjoy a curated custom merchandise shop, exclusive Kendra Scott activation, tailgate games, giveaways, photo opportunities, live DJ entertainment, and more. Plus, appearances from Giants legends. All of that. We got tailgate food and a drink ticket. So get your barbecue, your beer, your burger, whatever you want before the game. Tailgate is 21 and up over. But you know what? Go to giants.com/women's tailgate. Come join us.
Yeah.
Week 4.
Sounds like a potty.
It's a potty.
Don't be toddy for the potty.
Don't be toddy for the potty.
I think I should do that read next time. 'Cause that way you don't have to plug yourself.
That is true.
Yeah, but
we got to get you.
This is going to be a fun day. It's in Lot G for girls. Men are invited as well. But you're hosting this whole thing. So
I'm hosting. Come to my party.
What are you more excited about, the drink ticket or the Kendra Scott, Joe Malone swag?
Do you want my honest answer?
It can be all three.
All of it. All of the above, obviously.
Okay. Or the food.
You know what's funny? I was talking to Tina Servasio. I had the pleasure of joining Tina Servasio on Fox 5 recently to promote this as well.
Tina's awesome.
Tina's great, and she's such a legend and a ray of sunshine. And she was like, obviously with men, you think about beer and burgers and food, and with women, you think about jewelry and clothes. And I was like, Tina, hold up.
Rosé.
Mama needs a cocktail, too.
Yeah.
We could have a beer and a burger before a game as well. And we got all of that available. You got, food, drinks, jewelry, clothes, all the good
I'm
stuff.
sure there will be some RTDs there. That's the ready to drink, the canned stuff. I mean, the White Claws, the High Noons, the Mamitas. Have you had that one?
No.
That's a phenomenal one. There's those things are dangerous because they go down so
Ain't no
easy.
laws when you drink from claws.
But yeah, I mean, who doesn't want rosé all day? I mean, I'm sure there will be some Whispering Angel or let's see, what's the Hampton Water?
Oh,
as they
Hampton
call
Water.
It.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. My wife's favorite is the Chateau Parasol.
Ooh.
That's it's a French rosé, so it's
Can
very
we
light,
have
very crisp.
Can we have French rosé at a pregame tailgate? I mean, I guess not. No, we're making the rules here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to frown upon where the booze came from. It's where it's going that's more important.
It's where it's going, which is right to your soul and sparking joy.
Yes.
Before the Chargers game, of course, come out to the tailgate, come to the game afterwards, make some new friends, and come support your New York Football Giants. But that's a wrap for our Wednesday Big Blue Kickoff Live show today. Thanks for joining us from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. For Shaun O'Hara, I'm Madelyn Burke. We'll see you Sunday Night Football.
Here we go.
Great googly moogly. Who are the chefs? That's who we're playing this week. Hope you see you out at MetLife Stadium Sunday night, and we'll see you next week on Big Blue Kickoff Live. But we got shows every day. Just us be here. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. The end.